Aamir on rooftop with Kite. In a city swallowed by darkness, a young boy named Aamir climbed silently onto a broken rooftop. Below him, Kabul trembled with distant explosions. But he stood still, holding his father's last gift, a white kite with tiny stars carved into it. The wind howled, the buildings burned, and fear wrapped around every home. Yet Aamir's eyes stayed fixed on the sky. Tonight wasn't about the war. Tonight was about a promise, a son waiting for his father to find his way home. And all he had was this fragile kite and hope. Lighting the candle inside the kite, his hands trembled as he struck the match. The small flame flickered, fighting the wind. Aamir cupped his palms around it, protecting it like something sacred. He placed the candle inside the kite, and slowly, it glowed. Warm light spread through the paper stars, turning them into tiny constellations. In the middle of a war zone, that little candle became the brightest thing he had. Aamir whispered, "Baba, please see this." And in that moment, the light inside the kite felt stronger than the darkness outside. War-torn Kabul at night, the city below him was unrecognizable. Buildings torn open, streets buried in dust, flames rising from distant hills. Kabul's night sky was painted red by explosions, and every boom shook the air around Aamir. But even in all this chaos, there was silence inside him. He wasn't looking at the destruction. He was looking for hope, anything that told him his father was still alive. And somewhere between the smoke and the stars, he believed his father would see his signal. He had to. Glowing kite rising. The wind fought fiercely, trying to rip the kite from his grip. But Aamir pushed harder, lifting it into the air. The glowing kite rose slowly, then higher, then higher. Candlelight shimmered through the tiny holes, turning the dark sky into a canvas of trembling stars. Even the night seemed to pause for a moment, watching that fragile light climb. Aamir tightened his grip on the string, heart racing. "Go," he whispered. "Find Baba," and the kite obeyed.
Aamir's emotional close-up. Tears gathered in Aamir's eyes as the glowing kite drifted above him. The warmth of the candle lit his face, softening the fear he carried for days. His lips trembled. He hadn't eaten properly. He hadn't slept. But this was the moment he had waited for, the moment he believed his father might see him, even from miles away. Every beat of his heart whispered the same prayer, "Please come home." And that close-up, one thing was clear: this boy had more courage than an army. Neighbors watching him. As the kite climbed higher, lights flickered in cracked windows. Neighbors peeked out, stunned. Why was a child standing alone on a rooftop during such a dangerous night? But then they recognized him, Raman's boy, the boy whose father had not returned. Slowly, the fearful whispers died. Their eyes softened. For a moment, the entire street forgot the war and watched the glowing kite. In that fragile light, they saw something they hadn't felt in years: hope. Father injured, seeing the kite. Far from home, stumbling through rubble, Raman struggled to keep moving. His clothes were torn, his arm bleeding, every breath heavy with dust. The world around him was collapsing. Then he saw it, a faint glow in the sky, shimmering through smoke like a star that refused to die. His heart froze. That was no flare, no drone. It was his son's kite. "Aamir," he whispered as tears blurred his vision. That tiny light became the force that pushed him forward. Father's paw of glowing kite. Through his blurry eyes, Raman focused. The sky was dark, full of smoke, yet one small light flickered like a heartbeat. A kite. His kite. The one he had built with his own hands. Suddenly, the pain in his body felt lighter. His steps grew stronger. The world wasn't silent, but inside him, something awakened. He wasn't following a light. He was following home. For the first time in days, he believed he would see his son again. Raman saving civilians, even hurt and exhausted. Raman refused to leave anyone behind. He carried a child on his back, guided an elderly man with trembling steps, and shielded a mother from falling debris. The war tore everything apart, but it could not shake his humanity. Every step was a battle. Every corner held danger. Yet he kept moving, because somewhere beyond the smoke, a little boy was waiting for him. And tonight, he would not break his promise. Close-up of father's bleeding arm. Blood dripped down his arm, forming a trail behind him. His breathing was uneven, his muscles shaking from exhaustion. But when he looked at his wounded arm, he didn't see pain. He saw purpose. The wound was a reminder of the people he had saved, the families he had guided to safety, and now, the final person he needed to reach was his own son. He wrapped cloth around his arm, tightened it, and whispered, "I'm coming, Aamir." Then he kept walking, kite glowing over Kabul. High above the city, the glowing kite floated like a tiny moon. Below it lay destruction, broken rooftops, fires, fallen walls. But the kite didn't care about the war. It climbed and climbed and climbed, shining through the darkness with stubborn hope. Anyone who looked up saw the same thing. A miracle in a world falling apart. One small candle had become a symbol of love, and that light was leading a father home. Aamir struggling with the wind. The storm grew stronger. The wind roared like a monster, pulling the kite violently. Aamir's small hands burned as the string sliced against his skin, but he refused to let go. He leaned back, using all his weight to hold the kite steady. The war didn't scare him. The wind didn't scare him. The only thing he feared was losing the chance for his father to see that light. "Stay," he begged the kite, "just a little longer." Raman walking under broken streetlights. Shattered streetlights flickered as Raman limped through the empty roads. Shadows stretched around him like ghosts. The city felt abandoned, but he wasn't alone. The glow in the sky kept calling him. Every weak step carried the same determination. Reach the boy, reach the rooftop, reach the promise. Every time his legs threatened to collapse, he looked up and whispered, "Wait for me, Aamir." And somehow, he kept moving, Aamir alone with the huge night sky. Standing on the rooftop, Aamir looked impossibly small under the vast sky. The city beneath him was chaotic, burning, dangerous. But above him, the kite glowed like a guiding star. For a moment, he forgot the war. He forgot the fear. All he saw was the sky, and all he felt was hope. Alone on that rooftop, he looked like a tiny warrior, fighting darkness with nothing but a string and a candle. Father reaching the building stairs, Raman reached the old staircase, breathing heavily, leaning against the wall for support. Each step felt like climbing a mountain. His body begged him to stop, but when he looked up and saw the staircase leading to the rooftop, he felt strength return. He forced himself up, step by painful step. Every foot forward was powered by love. He wasn't climbing stairs. He was climbing back into his son's life. Aamir hearing footsteps. Aamir's fingers tightened on the kite string as he heard slow, heavy footsteps behind him. For a moment, fear gripped him. Was it a soldier? A stranger? The war made every sound dangerous. He turned slowly, breath held, heart pounding, and then his eyes widened. Through dust, through smoke, through exhaustion, he saw the face he had prayed for every night, the man he thought he might never see again. Emotional reunion. Aamir ran forward, tears spilling as he crashed into his father's arms. Raman held him tightly, burying his face into his son's hair, whispering, "I'm here, I'm here." The world around them was still broken, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. They stayed locked in that embrace as if letting go would break the universe. And above them, the glowing kite drifted gently, as if smiling at the miracle below. Kite falling as candle fades. The candle inside the kite flickered weakly, then dimmed, then slowly burned out. The glowing stars faded one by one. The kite drifted downward, gently, like it knew its job was done. Aamir and Raman watched it float to the ground, no longer shining but still beautiful. Sometimes, even the smallest lights burn out, but the hope they create stays forever. Father and son sitting on rooftop. Later that night, father and son sat side by side on the rooftop. The city was quieter now, the sky calmer. They didn't need the kite anymore. They didn't need words. Just being together was enough. Raman placed his arm around Aamir, pulling him close. After everything they had survived, the rooftop felt like the safest place on earth. Sometimes, peace isn't a place, it's a person. Final symbolic shot of candle. The small candle lay inside the kite, burnt out, melted to the bottom. Smoke rose gently, twisting into the night. The war was not over. The struggle was not over, but this little candle had guided a man across a city of darkness. It had reunited a family, and even though its flame had died, its light lived on in the hearts of everyone who saw it.